I used to be so incredibly depressed that I would set 30 alarms, snooze every single one of them every day until there was 2 minutes left before I needed to be in the car on the way to my shift at my shitty job where I didn't feel fulfilled and I would get bullied constantly. And then I would drink at a bar after my shift, drive home, pass out, probably in my clothes still, no skincare routine. Probably wouldn't even brush my teeth, let's be so honest. And then I would doom scroll if I were to wake up for like 6 hours, and then I would do it all over again. And now I live in a beautiful city, which I love so much. I exercise every day. I wake up with joy and light in my eyes. I get my morning sunlight and I feel fulfilled. I have a purpose and I'm just so much more content and emotionally stable than I used to be. And none of that is thanks to therapy. I am not bashing on therapy in this video. If you are in therapy and you're doing better, getting better, and you can afford it and all that, please keep going. Please, by all means. But for me, at the time, first of all, I couldn't even afford it. It would hurt me more mentally to spend the $300 on like BetterHelp or whatever, because I don't know, my insurance didn't cover it. I don't know. I was too lazy to figure out how to get the insurance to cover the therapy. Like, that was too much work for me at the time because of how lazy I was. So therapy never worked for me. First reason, because the main reason therapy works for a lot of people is if they don't have an ear to listen to. But I had like 50 friends that I could call at any time and be like, hey, I hate my life. And they would pick up and be like, okay, yeah, I hear you. And that's basically what a therapist does already. Obviously, they have more specific things that they will teach you and such. But I also had my mom, who was very smart, very kind, very hardworking, very emotionally stable. And she would listen to me all day long. And she would give me good, valuable advice. And so what is a therapist going to do that is more than what I was already getting for free, okay? And then also they would try and prescribe me drugs, which in my personal opinion, that is just a Band-Aid and that is not going to fix your habits. Drugs do not fix your habits. The reason I was so depressed is because of my habits, because of my thought patterns. And a therapist can definitely help you with that. Yes, I understand that. But for me, that's not what got me from point A to point B. That's not what got me to where I'm at now. And there was many more things that I did on my own for free that had way more value and way more of an impact on my life. So I'm going to share this with you right now. So step one, this is the hardest part, but it is so simple. I took accountability for my reality. So I accepted the fact that my reality is shit and it is my fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not the man I'm dating. It's not his fault. It's not the way society is set up. It's not that the minimum wage. It's not the president's fault. It's not my mom. It's not my parents' fault for having no money. I always wanted my parents to give me more money, and looking back now, I'm so glad that they didn't, because it forced me to grow up and it forced me to become an adult. And I literally would not be able to live on my own, pay my own bills, have emotional regulation if they did not force me to, if that makes sense. That's just a side tangent. But anyways, accepting responsibility for my current reality, accepting the fact that I am now an adult who needs to take action to make progress in my life. And this is the most important thing. Taking accountability is hard. It is hard. You want to blame everybody else. It's a natural instinct. And it feels like the easy way out, but in reality, it causes you to put yourself in a box and cage yourself in, because if you give all the power to everyone around you, you are left with none. You need to reclaim power over your life. But in order to do that, you have to put the blame on yourself. Obviously, extreme circumstances, if you get fucking run over by a car that drove onto the sidewalk, okay, no shit, that's not your fault. We get that. But you need to accept responsibility. That is the key component of this. Responsibility is everything. So even if you do get run over by a car, okay, you need to be able to pay your own medical bills. Nobody else is going to pay them. You want the president to pay your own medical bills? Guess what? They're not gonna. I'm sorry. They're not gonna. So you needed to have the funds in your bank account prior to getting hit by that runaway car to pay your own medical bills or pay for like a rehab, you know, like PT. So you need to reframe your mindset and stop blaming everyone else and take accountability. So every single time you catch yourself saying, well, it wasn't necessarily my fault, but it still just sucks that this happened. No, shut the fuck up. We don't care about whose fault it was. That does not matter. The only thing that matters is how you're going to get yourself out of this situation and into a better one. That is the only thing that matters. So just have your default be, I need to fix this. No one else needs to fix it. Just me. I'm the only one responsible for fixing this because it's my reality and I'm the one that has to live in it. So step 2, along with that, is reframing all of your beliefs to be around that, because every time you have one of those thoughts like, well, I can't do that because I don't have enough money, or I need to work this job, I have to work these hours, I have to be friends with this girl because she did this for me and blah, blah, you know what I mean? Those are limiting beliefs. Those are the beliefs that are trapping you in. You are literally creating a cage around yourself for no reason. Set yourself free. Every single time one of those thoughts pops into your head and you notice, I said I can't do something because of my job. Who got the damn job? Did someone force you into the job? That's slavery. Last I checked, slavery has been abolished. That is illegal. So, are you a slave? So unless you are a slave, which, you know, we still have some of that going on, so maybe you are. I don't know. You tell me. Then you don't have to work that job. You don't have to. I'm sure there are other options. Are you going to be homeless if you quit? Why can't you find a new one that works with the hours that you need to do the other thing? Can you ask your boss for a specific pay? Can you find a new job that has a different pay? Can you find something where you can do it online, remote? Can you, you have options as a human being. Even if you are born into the worst circumstances ever, you still have options. Get creative. Start brainstorming. If you believe that you have no other options, your brain is not going to start coming up with new options because that's just solid in your brain. Oh, there's no other option. So I'm not going to start thinking of other options. There aren't any. You know what I'm trying to say? Never box yourself in with these beliefs. Every single time one of these beliefs comes up that limits you and limits your creativity and limits the types of things you can do in your day, you need to replace that belief with something more inspiring, more freeing. So for me, with my sleeping thing, I convinced myself that I had a sleeping disorder. I never went to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor. And I was too poor to go to the doctor because, America, healthcare, kind of pricey. So instead of going and getting a sleep order diagnosis thing, I just was like, oh, I have a sleeping disorder. I have fucking narcolepsy or whatever you want to call it. So I can't wake up at the right time. I literally gave myself a disorder that didn't even exist because that's the easiest thing to do. Instead of getting creative and finding new ways to get myself in a better sleeping habit routine, I was like, oh, I have a sleeping disorder, can't do anything about it. It's just, I was born that way. That's just the way it is. Turns out that's not true. Seasonal depression is a real thing. And guess what? I moved. I live in California. It's 70 and sunny every day. Sleeping disorder, gone. You might think, oh, that's crazy. I'm not gonna move to a new state to fix this thing. How badly do you want it? That's the real question. Because I could have stayed at home and just continued to have a sleeping disorder. But I came to terms with the fact that that was a limiting belief, and I found a way out of it, and the way out was moving to a new state. Yes, you can move to a new state. Nobody's forcing you to live where you currently live. If you're gonna be happier, if you're gonna have less depression somewhere else, go there. If you don't have enough money, pick up an extra shift, save the money until you can afford to move over there. Like, if you can't afford to hire a mover, sell everything you own. Like, there are solutions to your problems. You're just boxing yourself in so that you don't have to do the work to go look for the solutions, because being creative is kind of hard. It requires you to pause and say, that thought is wrong, let's fix it. And taking accountability is so hard. I used to constantly lie also, because that was the easier way, is to convince myself that one thing is true. And then because I would convince myself of these lies so aggressively, I would start to convince other people, and then they would catch me, and that was creating conflicts in my life as well. So this is all one big mess, all right? So taking accountability and having honesty with yourself and others, but it comes with being honest with yourself, is so important. So every time you catch yourself in a lie to other people too, you need to learn to be like, hold on, that was a lie. That's what I would do. I would literally catch myself. I would be like, wait a minute, I just lied. And I would out loud say, I'm so sorry, that was a lie. And they would find it funny, you know? I was so nervous to do that at first, to just out myself and be like, I'm a liar. But they end up actually laughing at it. Because it's like, why'd you just say that? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're fucking crazy. But they respect the honesty. People respect honesty. You need to be honest with yourself to have respect for yourself too. So every time you catch yourself in a lie in your head, stop yourself. That's a lie. What's the truth? In your head and out loud to others. The next step was to organize my thoughts. I had very disordered thinking. My emotions were up and down. They were very dysregulated. In order to regulate them, I needed to know what they were. So I started writing things down. And you might think, journaling, like, that's just so ew. Opening up a page and spilling my feelings and my thoughts and what I did that day, that's just like so boring to me. You don't have to follow that framework. That's another limiting belief that you have. I just exposed it. So you can open up your journal, and instead of like forcing yourself to do one prompt or do one type of, I need to write what I'm grateful for and this and that and da-da-da, instead of trying to follow a certain script with your journaling, or the classic what I did today, how I felt today, what went wrong, what went good, those are all great. You can use those, but just write what you want to write for however long you want to write it. Just try to do it every day. Because if you make it a daily habit, you're less likely to just completely forget about journaling altogether and like lose your journal, and the next thing you know, it's like under your bed and you can't even find it and you haven't looked for it in weeks. So making it a daily habit is important, especially if you connect it with something else. So like brushing your teeth, drinking your coffee, or whatever you do every single day, doom scrolling. There are apps for that, by the way. I think my favorite one's called ClearSpace. Look it up, not sponsored. Anyways, connect your journaling with another habit so that you have to do it every day. You don't completely forget about it, but don't force yourself to journal one way or another. Like, literally just open up the page, and if you think of the word poop, write it down. Like, seriously. If you literally, that's all that's coming to your mind is poop, draw a fucking shit on the page. Like, I don't care what you're writing. You just need to know what's going on up there. And you don't know right now. You're like having this disconnect. I'm talking to my past self. I was having a disconnect between I didn't know what my own thoughts were, if that makes sense. I was just letting them run rampant and do whatever they wanted to do naturally. You need to have power over your own brain. So in order to do that, you need to know what's going on. And so when you open the page, just write whatever's going on up there. Don't matter. If you're worried about something, write, I'm worried about this shit. If you're like, all I can think about is what I want to eat tomorrow, write down what you want to eat tomorrow. It does not matter what you write. If you want to write affirmation, like, I can give you a million things to write because this is what I did for years and I still do it constantly. Just like whenever I get inspired to open my journal, I open it up. It's better if you make it a habit, but after a while you can just start writing when you feel inspired to. So I will just write affirmation. So I'll write like, I am happy, or I am a dog owner, I am someone who eats healthy, I work out, whatever the fuck. That's what I like to do. I like to also just organize my life. Like, these are the habits I want to create. This is the environment I want. These are the friends I want. I like to write things that I want so we can focus on the good. We can focus on moving forward. Or you can write about your problem. It literally doesn't matter. Just write what you're thinking. Okay? That's it. So we're going to organize. Now, the last thing I have for you is another journaling exercise, but this one is like a whole different thing. So there was a study done that showed extreme benefits from this. Like, this is a real legit thing. This is not some wishy-washy like Pinterest journaling idea, but it's really intense. Prepare yourself. It's called the Expressive Writing Paradigm by James W. Penbaker? Whatever. What he did was he had people write their most traumatic experience that they can remember for 15 minutes. So you open up a page and for 15 minutes you detail everything that you can possibly remember about the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Obviously you don't want to do that. That does not sound fun. But the truth is, it's going to rewire your brain. It will literally heal you from the traumatic experience. So you don't need a therapist to do that. You don't need to go tell somebody that you don't even know the worst thing that's ever happened to you, because that's uncomfortable, obviously. So if you're like having a problem telling a therapist with this is a great solution. Just write it down. It will do the same thing. Like, it's scientifically proven to rewire your brain circuits. It's proven with science. So the exercise is 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes of your life. You do it, like, let's say you do it today. What's today? Saturday for me. Let's say I do it today on Saturday. I do 15 minutes, close it up. Then next Saturday, I'm gonna do 15 minutes again, same shit. Try and get more details. And then next Saturday, we're gonna do 15 minutes again. And that's it. And that's it. And you never have to do it again. Then you can close the book and forget about the experience altogether and move on with your life. And I promise it'll help. I know it's horrible though. Like, I understand why you don't want to do it, but it will help, I promise, and science promises that it will help. So that's the last journaling exercise I have for you. No therapy required, no money required. Broke bitches unite. Okay, bye.